All right. Hello, everyone. All right, we're back. We're live, and hopefully everybody can see me and hear me. I am Ejean Pemberton Jones with OPM Training School, and we are wrapping up our GED Geometry. There we go. All right, I can see. I see us. Fantastic. So I want to give a shout out to all of my students and congratulate Ricky, who recently, yes, today passed his GED Math. So congratulations to you, Ricky. I'm so very, very proud of you. And now he's moving on to the next test. And his goal is probably to finish it within the next couple of weeks. So great success story, and we'll be posting updates along the way with other students who are moving fast and furious towards getting their GED. So before I go forward with giving our geometry review, I want to remind everyone, if you are interested in getting your GED, now is the perfect time to get your GED. It's not too late. It's never too late, especially now because you can work towards getting your GED while we're in the fall, just in time to have it as your Christmas present to yourself. So for more information on getting your GED, if you want to take our prep course, you can do so by going to our website and registering. Our website is www.opmtrainingschool.education. That's opmtrainingschool.education, and that information is right behind me as it relates to the name of the school. All right, and that's the website. So go ahead and do that, and you can reach out to us. I typically, we get a response to you within 24, no later than 48 hours, but usually within 24 hours, we respond to you as quickly as possible. Now, if you give us a call, go ahead and do that, but make sure you leave your name and your number and why you're giving us a call. Give us some specifics so that we can be prepared to answer all of your wonderful questions and inquiries so that we can be successful and proficient in helping you getting your GED. All right, now for the last since August, we started our schedule preparing our students towards the GED Math. We started off with basic math. We did that in the month of August, and based on our schedule, we moved right on into geometry. And so last week we started off with geometry. We actually gave a little taste of geometry the week before last as well. And so this week we are wrapping up our portion of the geometry, giving a review to my students. You should have watched all of your videos that I posted in Google Classroom. Okay, there are some videos that I believe was going to be helpful for you towards learning the different formulas when it comes to geometric shapes and figures, as well as some of the videos that I personally have posted of me teaching in the lectures part of the class. So again, we have a YouTube channel. I do. For my YouTube channel, you can subscribe to it. Just go to the website, which is www.opmtrainingschool.education. That's opmtrainingschool.education, and subscribe. Just click to the GED tab and go down a little bit on that page. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can watch previous videos that we've done. I've done quite a few on geometry myself. Now, as far as the list of videos that are inclusive of other individuals, that has been posted in my online portion of the class for my students who are registered through my GED prep course. Again, for more information about everything that we do, just go to the website, which is www.opmtrainingschool.education. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do our review. And I am actually doing it out of the Steak-Von book. This is the GED Review Geometry and Data Analysis, okay? So if you have the Steak-Von book, you can go ahead and open that book to page 520. And of course, my students already have theirs available. We have been working on this review for the last couple of weeks. And so now we are wrapping this thing up. And for that, that's okay. And for that, I am going to highlight specific problems that I think will be beneficial for you to know to help you over that hump towards getting your math portion for your GED. So we're going to start with question number two. Now, the one thing that I share with all of my students, anytime you see a lot of numbers on your GED test, the one thing you want to do is probably put those numbers in numerical order. So question number two says this: And again, if you have the book, go ahead and turn to page 520. If not, I'm going to give you the problem, and then I'm going to write on the board the solution for the problem. So question number 2 says this: the exam scores for a math class are 75, 90, 90, 80, 85, 70, 95, 100, 85, 90, and then 80. For these scores, fill in each box with the word mean, median, and mode. Okay? It says fill in each box with the word, not the number. Okay, that's equivalent to those words, but with the word mean, median, or mode in order to make the inequality true. Now, my students, I handed out to them a definition, kind of a vocabulary word for arithmetic or for math with symbols to match that. It is available online. I'm not sure where. One of my students actually found it, and I know that this is very helpful. So for all of my students, if you want a copy of this, of course, you'll get this when you are in class. I will give you a copy of this to have this, but I wanted to kind of share with everybody the terminology of inequality. And the reason why that's important is because and of course, when I was going to school in grade school, we call it greater than or less than, okay, which is still said, that's still used, but now the terminology mostly used is inequality, okay? So inequality, again, is the greater than or less than sign, okay? Greater than or less than, which means it's not equal, okay? It's inequality. That means one side is going to be less than or greater than, okay? One side is going to be less than or greater than. Okay, so in that we have on there, it is asking us to determine which one is greater than and less than, the mean, the median, or the mode. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is write each number, and we're going to provide each number in numerical order. So I want to, hopefully all of my students that are in class have already done so. I'm going to go ahead and write it on the board for you in numerical order. This is again problem number 2. All right, so let's put it in numerical order. The first number is going to be what, 70, correct? So we'll just write everything down. 70, 75. Okay, thank you. 80.
85.
85.
85 again.
85 again.
90.
90.
90.
90.
And 90.
And 90.
95.
95.
And 100.
And 100. All right, so we want to determine the mean, the median, and the mode. All right, we want to determine that. So just to give everybody a few seconds, go ahead and add all of those numbers up, and then we're going to determine what that is. And I'm going to get some AC working just a little bit because it gets warm in here. Okay, add those numbers up.
It's 280s.
Is it 280s? Okay, I'll correct that. All right. So we have 70, 75, 80, 80, 85, 85, 90, 90, 90, 95, and 100. So now we're going to add all those up, and then we're going to divide it by 11, right? Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We have 11, right? Okay. So we're going to divide it by 11. And what number do we come up with?
85.45.
Okay. It's 85.45. All right. The median is the middle number, which is going to be 85 because we have a total of 11. So the center number is 85. And the mode is a number that is duplicated the most. The mode is the number that's duplicated the most, which is what?
90.
90, correct. We have 3 90s. You can have more than one mode. So I wanted to share that with everyone. You can have more than one mode. And I'm going to bring the camera over just a little bit. See if I can move it around just a little bit without messing it up. All right. So you can have more than one mode. Right? So our mean is 85.5, our median is 85, and our mode is 90. So you can have more than one mode, but we only have one this time. So now we are going to determine the inequality to determine and to make it true. All right? So in that we have here, okay, turn it down just a little bit. There we go. All right, so the smallest number is what? The median. So we write the term median. We don't write the number, but we actually provide the term because that's what it's asking for. It's asking for the term. So median is the smallest, and then the mean, and then the mode. And this is what makes it true. Okay? The mean, the median, and then the mode. All right, and that's number 2. Okay, any questions? We good with that? So now the tricky thing about that one is oftentimes students may go ahead and actually fill it with numbers because it is a fill-in blank. And when you take your GED Math, you will have sometimes multiple choice, A, B, C, D. Sometimes you will have a drop down to choose from a drop down. Other times you will have what is called fill in the blank. Now, if you fill in the blank with the number, your answer would have been incorrect because it didn't ask for the number, it asked for the word, okay? The term that matches that number. So if you would have put the number in, your answer would have been incorrect, and you would have got that, of course, number wrong. So in order to get it correct, you don't put the number in, but you actually use the word, which is what it asks for. Okay, and that's number 2. Now let's look at question number 3. Question number 3, and again, for those of you who are just now joining us, we're using the Stake-Vaughan book. The Stake-Vaughan book, one of my favorite books. So it's one that I highly recommend. All of them, all of the GED books, I'm sure, and I'll say this, I've actually looked at quite a few, do really good. It's just the one I've gotten used to, so that's the one that I recommend to use. But number 2 on page 520, it says, number 3 on page 520, it says this: the ratio of the circumference of circle A to the circumference of circle B is 2 to 1. What is the ratio of the area of circle A to the area of circle B? Okay, so first of all, whenever you see a ratio, this to this, this to this, okay, we go ahead and we'll write it out. So we know that we have the circumference of circle A to the circumference of circle B. So we'll do A to B. Okay, now, and it says is 2 to 1. So we'll put 2 to 1 underneath it, because whatever the first number is, that's the first number we put on the left side of the ratio symbol, and then the second number goes on the right side. So now we know A to B is 2 to 1, and we create what I call a fraction, okay, which is the same as saying A to B equals 2 to 1. Okay, so the first number in that ratio is your numerator. The second number in that ratio is your denominator. Okay, so now those of you who have the actual GED mathematic formula sheet, you can see how we can get the circumference, and I'm just going to do a shortcut version because for the sake of time, I'm going to try to cover as much material as possible within a certain within the time frame I've allotted. So now in that, we're going to go ahead, and we know that you would actually with the circumference, you're going to do a square. Okay, so with that, we know it's 2 times 2 equals what? 4. And 1 times 1 equals what? 1, correct. 1. Very good. So 4 over 1 is the same thing as saying 4 to 1. Okay, and that answer is going to be C. And that's question number 3. Question number 4 is very similar to question number 3 because it's dealing with ratio. Even though it doesn't use the terminology ratio, it has the very same type of concept. So I'm going to read it to you. It says 1 gallon of paint covers 200 square feet. How many gallons are needed to paint a rectangular floor that is 40 feet by 60 feet? So we see 40 by the term by, we're going to multiply. Okay, that means we're getting the area. So 40 times 60 is what?
2,400.
Correct. Okay, so let's write everything out so everyone can see it. We have 1 gallon of paint that covers 200 square feet, which is 1 to 200. Okay, so we do 1 to 200. Because that's what this is saying, 1 gallon to 200. So gallon is on top, okay, and the the area is on the bottom, okay, in square feet. So if we have gallons on top, we did what they provided with us is a rectangular floor is 40 feet by 60 feet, and we discovered that 40 by 60 equals 240 square, 2,400 square feet. Let me write it out so it's better. 2,400 square feet. All right, 2,400 square feet. Now we're just going to put X right there. So I'm going to rewrite it so you can see it and it looks a lot smoother. It's going to be 1 over 200 equals X over 2,400 because we're trying to determine how many gallons will cover 2,400 square feet, right? So this is gallons on top, and this is the area on the bottom. Now, my students who have been with me, when you see the equivalent sign, this is what is called proportion, right? So you just cross multiply and divide. So 1 times 2,400 is 2,400. And 200 times X is 200X. Now, once you have that, you have to get the what by itself? The letter, the variable by itself, and the opposite of multiplication is division, correct. And we divide both sides by 200. So X equals 12. And if you want to confirm that it is true, if you replace X with 12, 12 times 200 is 2,400. So it's equivalent, and that's your answer. So the answer to that is going to be letter A for number 4. Now, just to remind everybody who's watching, what we're doing is we're reviewing what we've discussed over the last couple of weeks. So if you have questions on how to do proportions, if you have questions on how to get the area of something, look at some previous videos on geometry that I've done, or those of you who are my students, it will also be in your Google Classroom to help you along with those steps. For today, we're reviewing what we've already showed and discussed, just to make sure for my students who are preparing to take their test are on point when it comes to geometry. All right, so that's question number 4. The next one we're going to do is question number 5. Again, we're on page 520 of our GED book. And on number 5, it says the net sales for last month in thousands of dollars are listed in the graph. What is the average mean? Mean means the average. We know that. The mean are the net sales for the 5 stores listed. So we have 5 stores. We have Boston. Okay. We have New York. 5 stores listed in 5 different cities. So in the cities, we have Boston, New York, Dallas. We have New Orleans. And we have Atlanta. Now, we know that this is net sales in the thousands of dollars, but we're just going to look at the charts and just write what we see in the chart and then add thousands to it after we do that. So based on the charts, we know Boston is equal to what? 11, correct. New York is what? 6. Okay. Dallas? 7. New Orleans? 9, and Atlanta?
8.
8, correct. So now we add them together because we're getting the mean, which is the average. So the total sum of that is, my team, ma'am?
41.
No, ma'am. Use your calculator. Let me give you a calculator too. There we go. All right.
It says 41.
Is as what?
41.
Did we miss a number? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 11. Let me make sure you gave me the correct number. We have 11. That's correct. For New York, it is going to be 6. Okay. For Dallas, it is 7. For New Orleans, it is 9. And for Atlanta, it is 8. So this is 17, right? Okay. This is what? 16 plus 8, right? So now 17 plus 16 is what?
33.
Okay. Plus 8.
41.
Okay, 41. So now we're going to multiply. We're going to divide it by, oh, that's correct. That's correct. It is 41. Now we're going to divide it by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Divide it by 5. You're right. My mind is already on the answer. We still have to divide by 5.
It's 8.2.
There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So we add it up, and it's 41, and we divide it by 5 because we have 5 numbers, which is 8.2. Now, our answer is in the thousands, so we just multiply it by that, which gives us 8,200, which is letter C. So you're correct. Yeah, my mind already went to the answer. I'm zooming. I'm on a lot of coffee right now. Yes, energy. All right, so that's for number 5. Number 5, the answer is letter C. Okay, now let's look at number 7. Number 7, I'm going to read it to you again. We're on page 520 of the Stegvon book, GED Geometry and Data Analysis Review. The question says this: the average of a group of 5 numbers is 10. Which one of the numbers is removed? The average of the remaining numbers is 8. What was the number removed? Okay, so let's say it again. The average of a group of 5 numbers is 10. I'm sorry, I read it wrong. When one of the numbers is removed, the average of the remaining numbers is 8. What was the number removed? Okay, so now what I highly recommend when you have something like this is you write it out, because if you just try to calculate it in your mind, it sounds and it can be very confusing. So we know to get the average of something, we add everything up and we divide it by the number of numbers we've been given. So if it's telling us that the average of a group of 5 numbers is 10, then we're going to say 10 times 5 equals what? 50. Okay? Because there are 5 numbers and the average of it is 10, so 10 times 5 is 50. So now we only have, if we take one number out, we have how many numbers left?
49.
We have how many numbers left? If we have 5 numbers and we take one, we have 4 numbers left. Okay, yes ma'am. We have 4, so we're going to put 4 here. Okay, and it lets us know in that the average of the remaining numbers is what? 8. The average remaining is 8. So at first the average was 10 when we had 5 numbers. Now when we remove one of the 10, the average number is 8. Okay, we only have 4 numbers, so 8 times 4 is
32.
Okay, 32. So to determine what number was removed, you subtract 32 from 50, and we get what?
18.
18 is correct. 18 is correct.
I don't know how we got it, but okay.
I got 18, but I need some.
And you can do it's a different way of doing it. I'm just showing you one way, but it's a different way of doing it. You could have wrote all the 10s out, remove that 10, and what do you have left? Remove one of the 10s. You can do it this way. We have 5 10s, right? So that equals 50. Now we remove 1 10, and that equals what?
40.
40. Okay? Okay? So now, we have how many numbers? 4. So 40 divided by 4 is what?
10.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, 8. I'm sorry, 8 divided by 40 because it says the average number is 8.
Oh, 2.
So,
5.
8 or 8 divided by 2.
I'm trying to do it the way you did it. Now I'm doing it, I did it a different way, so I'm doing it the way you did it. So if we remove that and the average number is 8, the average number is 8. So 8 times 4 is 32. So the average number is no longer 10. The average number is 8 when we remove that 10. You said, that's okay, Bridget. That's okay. You don't, and let me tell you this. First, let me go through the process. Okay? You have 10 and 5. So you got that part correct? Okay? If the average is 10 and you have 5, it's 50. So now it's giving you part B, where there are 4 numbers, and the average of 4 numbers is what?
4.
The average of 4 numbers, it tells you, is what? 8. It says 8.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
See that? Okay. So, and we just multiplied it. And so now it's asking us what number was pulled. So we subtract 32 from 50, and we have what?
18.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. I have to show you the way I know how to do it. Now, did you get 18?
Yes.
Then you do it the way you did it. Yes, ma'am. As long as you got it. At the end of the day. All right. Now, let's do number 8. Number 8 is a little bit more complicated. Okay. So, some of the formula is on the sheet that I provided to you. Some of it is not. Okay. So, I'm going to read it so that people who are do not have the book are able to hear the problem, and then I'm going to do my best to write it out, okay? So it says the figure shows a water tank consisting of a hemisphere on top of a cylinder. If the diameter of the base is 6 feet, what is the surface area? And you want to underline diameter. You want to underline surface area, because it's saying what is the surface area of the water tank in cubic feet? Include the base of the tank in your calculation. Okay? So now I'm going to give you a couple of formulas. The first thing is you want to do your base area. And it gave it to us. We know that the diameter is what? It tells us. What is the diameter? 6 feet. Correct. It's 6. That's your base. Okay? So we know that the base... Let me just say this. The diameter equals 6 feet because it gave it to us. Okay. So what's the radius? It doesn't tell you. It doesn't have to. Remember, radius is what? Half of the diameter. So what's half of the diameter?
3.
Correct. So the radius is going to be 3. Okay. All right. That's what that is. So that's important. So now, in order to get the base area, or the base, it's going to be pi times radius square. Okay? Pi times radius square. Okay? So we replace the radius with the number 3. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. And it's going to be 3 square. And so 3 square is what? 9, because 3 times 3 is 9. Correct. So our base area equals 9 pi square. Feet. I need to put the feet in there. I'm sorry. Feet square. There we go. All right. So that's the first one. The second thing we need to get is the lateral area. Okay. So I'm going to put LA for short. And I'm going to give you the formula. This is also something you can Google. It's not on that sheet, but I want to go ahead and provide that to you because you're going to use this in other problems that is on this geometric sheet of paper. Okay? So for the lateral area is 2 times pi times radius times the height or hemisphere, whichever you want to say it. 2 times pi times radius. There we go. So now we know what the radius is, right? What's the radius? It's 3, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Because our diameter is 6, so our radius is 3. And then the height is what?
Six.
Is what?
6 feet.
It's 8.
Feet. Where is
8. It's on the actual.
that? Oh, okay.
There we go. Okay. So we're going to replace it. We're going to say 2 times pi times 3 times what? 8. So we'll fill it out. Okay. 3 times 8 is what?
24.
Times 2 is what?
48.
48. So we're going to do 48 pi square feet. Pi feet square. Sorry about that. Keep it consistent. All right, so we have our base area, we have our lateral area. Now we need to get our surface area. Okay, and the formula for the surface area is 2 times pi times radius square. 2 times pi times radius square. Okay, 2 times pi times radius square. Now, we just fill it in. Okay, radius is what again? 3, correct. Okay, so we're going to do surface area equals 2 times pi times 3 square. So 3 times 3 is what? Times 2 is what? 18. Very good. So our surface area is 18 pi feet square. So we have our surface area, we have our lateral area, we have our base area. Okay? I'll just kind of do it like this so we can see it. Now, to get our total surface area, we need to add all 3 together, which is 9 plus 48 plus 18.
75.
Yes, ma'am. 75 pi feet square. And they probably just have 75 for your answer. Or 75 pi is what it has. Okay, that's a doozy.
Sure.
Now, this is the question you have to ask yourself if it's worth doing this problem, because your test is what? Timed. But I like to show it to some of my students who can move quickly with it, because I do have some students that can get into geometry and make it work. Okay, but if you can't make it work, move on to the next problem, because you definitely don't want to waste your time on something that's complicated. Okay, does it make sense to everybody? But you cannot skip all of the geometry, because you need to do some of it. Okay, you're gonna have to know some of it. So that's one of those. All right, let's go to the next problem. On our review, we're going to look at problem number 9. Okay, number 9 is dealing with the probability. Probability. Okay, it's just like if you're gambling. Okay, if you pick the lotto. Okay, the probability of you winning the lotto is like 1 out of a billion folks or something like that. All right, so with the probability, it says a box contains 15 cards, each one numbered with a different whole number from 1 to 15. Okay, so we've got 1 to 15, 1 to 15. That means our total number is at the bottom, and we just flip it into a fraction of 1 to 15. Okay, so now a card is chosen at random and replaced. What is the probability that the same card will be chosen? Now you're going to multiply. There we go. It came back. All right, came on back. All right. I'm going to skip 10 for my mature audience. I've already shown you that for my students who are in my class preparing to test. So you already know how to do that, but I don't want to do that on this video. It takes a little bit of time. And I want to get to question number 12, because I haven't done number 12. And that is something that I believe everybody needs to participate in. So let's go ahead and read that, number 12. And I'm going to give you the options so you can see. It says, which of these is a right triangle? So I'm going to list them: A, B, C, and D. The question is, which of these is a right triangle? Okay, so we have sides, which is the first one. A says 4, 5, and this is the length of the sides, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, B is 5, 7, and 9. Okay, C is 6, 8, and 11. D is 7, 24, and 25. All right, so now in order to determine when we speak about a right angle, and I'm just going to draw one, okay, and a right angle has what is called a hypotenuse. So this is going to be A, B, and C. Okay, so the formula that we're going to use for this is called the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, and I'm going to write it up here. P, I don't know how to spell it off the top of my head, so I'm going to use my cheat sheet so I can spell it correctly. Pythagore. Hopefully I'm doing it correct. Yeah, A-N, correct. And this is where you're dealing with the right angle, which has, this is called the hypotenuse, this is your base, and this is your height, okay? And that theory is A squared plus B squared equals C squared, okay? So now, I go into details in the classroom on how to pull this through. I'm going to do a shortcut version just because of time. But my students have this as a video in Google Classroom, okay? So there is a privilege of being my student. Some things I will do live, and some things, of course, are in Google Classroom for the sake of time. So let's go ahead and determine if this is correct, okay? So we know that this is A, B, C, okay? The first number is A, the second number is B, the third number is C. So the question is, does 4 plus 5 equal 6? Does 4 squared plus 5 squared equal 6 squared? Okay, and we're going to determine that, but I'm going to need to show you the formula. So let's do A. A, we're going to fill it in. 4 squared plus 5 squared equals C squared. We're going to ask ourselves that question. So we know 4 squared is what? 4 times 4, which is what?
8.
4 times 4? 16, correct. Yes. All right, that's okay. Y'all got stuck there for a minute. 5 times 5 is what? 25. That's correct. 25. Okay. Now, 16 plus 25 is what?
41.
41. Okay. 41. And so what we want to do is we've got to get this C by itself. So the opposite of squaring something is the square root. Okay. So we're going to do the square root of 41. So do you know how to do the square root in your calculator? Okay. The square root of 41. And we're trying to see if it equals 6. Okay. And for those of you who are watching, if you have your calculator that is approved to use when you take your GED test, this is, of course, the Texas Instrument TI-30XS. If you don't have this, you definitely need to have this. You can go to my website and you can purchase it through my website, and it takes you directly to the link on Amazon.com and get your calculator. So in order to do that, make sure you turn it on. Make sure you are clearing it out and your mode is classic and not math print. Okay. If so, click on mode, M-O-D-E, next to the second, which is the green button. Okay. Click on it and make sure you are in classic, which this one happens to be on math print. So I'm going to choose classic to make sure that I'm there, and then quit my mode. And I'm doing it real quick, but if you want to know how to use this calculator, we have videos on YouTube, of course, in my Google Classroom as well. So now we're going to hit the second shift button, which is green, and right above the X square is where you do square roots. We're going to type in 41 and hit enter, and the square root of 41 is 6.4. Okay, so the answer is it 6? The answer is no, so it cannot be A. Okay, which we know because the square root of, to get 6 would have to be 36. The square root of 36 is 6. Okay, so now let's go ahead and let's do B. And I'm just doing it step by step because I want to show you how to do this. Because once you learn how to get the hypotenuse and work this theory, this will help you get over a couple of humps and get some good points when it's time for you to take your GED. All right, so your GED math. So let's look at 5, 7, and 9. So 5 is A, so 5 square plus 7 square equals C square. And the question is, does this equal 9? That's the question. Does 5 square plus 7 square equals 9 once we do our square root? Okay, so now let's go ahead and determine 5 times 5 is 25 plus 7 times 7 is 49. So class, 25 plus 49 is what?
74.
Yes, ma'am, it's 74. Okay, so and C, so we're going to do the opposite of C squared is square root. So the square root of 74, is it 9? And I'm going to tell you no, because the square root of 81 is 9, so not 74. So that's not going to be it. And this is where it's important for you to know your square roots. This will help you move along faster, okay? So and we'll go over square roots as soon as I finish this so that you can be on the same page with me as it relates to time and pace when it comes to this. This is an easy one that you can get correct, but you got to know your square roots. So letter C, let's go to letter C, okay, which is 6 and 8. Okay, so it's going to be 6 square plus 8 square equals C square. 6 square is 6 times 6, which is what?
36.
36, very good. And 8 times 8 is what?
64.
64, correct. Okay, so now 36 plus 64 is what?
100.
Okay, 100 even, right? Okay, so the square root of 100. Okay, because 10 times 10 is what? All right. So does it equal 11? The answer is no. So that can't be it. All right. So now we're down to the last one. The last one has got to be it. All right. So it's 7 square plus 24 square. Does it equal 25? That's the question. Okay. So now 7 times 7 is 49 plus 24 times 24 is what?
48. And 24 times 24. Okay.
576.
576. Okay. Now you add 49 plus 576, and what do we get?
625.
Okay, 625. So what's the square root of 625? Did you put it in your calculator? Make sure you clear out your calculator. Hit your second button and hit that square root symbol. Type in 625 and hit enter.
1 point.
No, ma'am. Clear it out.
Oh, 6.
625. And what do you get? What do you get? No, ma'am. Okay.
Maybe you want.
You're putting it in wrong. Okay. So hit your second shift button. Then hit your square root button, which is the X square. Okay. But you got to hit that green button first. Then type in 625.
25.
Thank you. Very good. So it checks out. It's 25. Okay. And that's called the Pythagorean theory. That's how you work that. And it is with the right angle. Okay. And that's important. Oftentimes you may get the measurements of these two, but you won't get the hypotenuse. Okay. And that's how you get the hypotenuse. So we know that this is 7. This is 24. And this is measurement is 25. The hypotenuse is 25.
So it's D.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's what we check. Okay. That's a good one to know. All right. So now, real quick before we move on to the next is I want to talk a little bit about the square root of numbers. Okay. So it's just like multiplying and dividing, going back and forth, the opposite. Okay. So I want to help us out in that because this can be a bonus for us if you can learn how to do this, okay? So I probably, with time moving quickly, won't get everything in this geometry, but I'm going to do some more to at least give you a little bit of a push, all right? So now, let's do this. So we're going to say 2 times 2, or 2 squared is what? 2 times 2 is what? 4. So the square root of 4 is 2. Okay? 3 times 3 is what?
9.
So the square root of 9 is what? 3. Okay? 4 times 4 is what?
8.
Ma'am?
16.
Thank you. Be with me.
16.
16. So the square root of 16 is 4. Okay? 5 times 5 is what?
25.
So the square root of 25 is 5. Okay? Everybody see me so far what we're doing? 6 times 6 is what?
36.
Okay, so the square root of 36 is 6. Okay. 7 times 7 is what? So the square root of 49 is 7. The opposite. Okay. Now, so if I ask you what's the square root of 40, we know it's got to be greater than 6 and less than 7. Because it's in between 36 and 49. So it'll be 6 point something. Use your calculator. You got the wrong calculator. I gave you the calculator. Yeah, but get the calculator. Get your calculator. There you go. Hit that second button, that green button. First, clear out everything. Make sure you're clear. Hit that second button. And then hit the square root button, which is, if you look at your left column, you see this green button. You see log. You see IN. You see the pi symbol. Okay. You see the square root symbol and then X square. Hit that button because right above it in green is the square root button. Okay. So now you hit that, type in 40 and hit enter. Okay. And what do you get?
0.084.
Okay. So you didn't, it's, okay. So we're going to do it again. Hit clear. Second button, square root button, 40, enter. And it's 6.324.
Yeah.
Which is what I share with you. It's going to be between 6 and 7. 6 point something. All right. Practice. Practice, but you can put it in your head. So if I say, what's the square root of 19? We know it's got to be 4 point something because it's between 4 and 5. Okay? But practice that. Practice that and watch the video in Google Classroom to my students. All right? Now let's go ahead and continue with our review. I want to continue with the review and let's see. I want to do number 20 just for the sake of time. Number 20. All right? And what I am going to share is for my students who are not in class, definitely if you need additional help with this, come to class so we can sit down and talk about it, okay? That's going to be really, really important. So let's look at problem number 20. It is the probability, another probability, okay? We also have on this plot and dots, but that's a video that I gave to you already. So that's in geometry as well. So plot and dots, I'm going to do number 20, and then I'm going to close it out with number 24 and leave it at that. Okay, so number 20 says a dresser drawer contains 2 red socks. It contains 4 blue socks. Okay. And then it contains 8 black socks. Okay. What's the probability, or what it says, what is the probability that a sock chosen at random from the drawer is not a black sock? Is not. So the first thing with probability, as I've always shared with everybody, you always put at the bottom of the fraction the total number, the total sum. Okay. So if we add all of that, we have how many socks?
17.
Ma'am?
14.
14, correct. 14. Okay? So how many are not black? How many socks are not black? 6, correct. And we just reduce it. Okay? 3 over 7. And that's B. It's that simple. Dealing with probability. Okay, so again, just to kind of give a quick explanation with probability, and again, these videos are available to all my students in my Google Classroom, is you first get the total amount, and that goes at the very bottom, and then you pull the number that is asking about, or in this case, what it's saying it will not. Okay, so for that, it was going to be how many socks were not to be black, and that would have been 6, and then you reduce it where it's requested and necessary. And that's question number 20. All right, let's do number 24. I'm going to end with this one for my students. I did go over this earlier this morning for my Grand Prairie students, and I want to review this real quick. And again, I'm not going to have enough time to get through as much of it as I want to just because of time constraint. But for more information on how to do some of these problems, you can go to my previous geometry videos. Of course, through my YouTube channel, I have some on there. We do have a lot available for my students in your Google Classroom. So make sure you watch those videos. Let's look at number 24. It says, in the figure AD and BC, calculate the area of figure ABCD. So let me draw this for you in sides AD to BC. All right, so let's see if I can do this. I am not the perfect drawer, so we're going to try our very best to give you what is similar to that. All right, so we know the base is 27. Okay, the base is 27, the measurement of the base. This side measurement is 10. The measurement of this side is 10. Okay, now it gives us all of the angles too, of course. This is A, B, side AB, okay? And this is side B, C, and this measurement is 15 because it's shorter. And this is side C and D. Okay, so it's asking us to calculate the area of a figure. Of course, when you do that, you're multiplying. So first of all, we need to look at this figure, and we need to determine, and let me just see if I can do a better job of making this side look a little bit more like this side, so you can kind of believe me when I tell you what it is. All right. All right, so now, basically what you have are 3 different geometric figures in this, okay? So you have what is called a right triangle to the right and a right triangle to the left. Okay. A right triangle to the right and the right triangle to the left. So now we know that our base is 27. Okay, so that's the total sum at the bottom. But in this rectangle, okay, if it's 15 at the top here, inside the rectangle, it's going to be 15 at the bottom as well. This is 15, this is 15. All 3 equals 27. But we know